In Module 5, we're asked to read What Do Human Beings Need? Rethinking Technology and the Good Society. And there's a quote by Albert Boardman, which says, "The substance of the good life must be taken into consideration if radical political reform is to become a live option." The article talks about our obligations toward our fellow human beings. And it says, "Everyone knows that there are forms of cruelty which can injure a man's life without injuring his body." I really like this quote because everyone knows that you can hurt someone just as bad mentally as you can physically. It's just different, but it still hurts the same, sometimes even more. The Good Society is also talked about in the article, where Boardman puts distinctions between a constitutional society, which furnishes formal equality of opportunity, a just society, which secures fair or substantive equality of opportunity, and then we have a good society. Whether we have a good society depends on the kind of opportunities that the society provides for the citizens. Change of lighting because the sun went down, but we were also asked to read Technology and the Good Society, which is a polemical essay on social ontology, political principles, and responsibility for technology. The essay is about how our assumptions about the meaning of social and the political influence our evaluations of the impact of new technologies on society, and how the new technologies work to shape concepts we use to evaluate them. The author makes the claim that technology and culture are deeply related, and it takes the realization and acceptance of this relation before you can actively shape it and contribute to it. So the author calls for us to take responsibilities for technology, while keeping in mind that as individuals, we're very limited as to what we can actually influence on the whole. We were also asked to read Chapter 7, which is about digital obesity, which is our latest pandemic. But I'm not really sure if you can say that anymore. I don't know. But it's basically about obesity being a global issue, and it's costing an estimated $450 billion per year in the US alone, in healthcare costs and loss of productivity. According to the CDC, in 2015, 2/3 of Americans are overweight, and an estimated 35.7% of Americans are obese. Yeah, Chapter 7 basically connects obesity to the use and growth of technology, being that there's a mental and technological condition in which data, information, media, and general digital connectedness are being accumulated to the extent that they have a negative effect on health, well-being, happiness, and overall just life in general. And then they make the connection between the craveability of food with the craveability of Facebook or like apps on your smartphone, and how it can lead to almost like a never-ending rabbit hole. It also talks about cravings and addiction, just kind of what I just touched on, but this is like the tech business model, cravings and addiction, and it just seems like they both have that in common, you know, with food, how they make it look prettier, taste better, last longer, and how they do that with apps and phones and any kind of new technology nowadays. Not taste better, but how they keep adding on to it. And last but not least, Chapter 8 talks about precaution versus proaction. Chapter 8 talks about how we should restrain science inventors and entrepreneurs if their resulting inventions are likely to have material adverse impact on humanity. But how at the same time, we should not prohibit scientific leaps that might be mostly beneficial to society, but would need regulation to achieve a balanced outcome. There needs to be a thoughtful and humanist balance between the two. Too much precaution can paralyze us with fear, whereas a purely proactionary approach won't be good either, because there's just too much at stake. So we have to find some middle ground.